Hi, I'm Erica from my phone. Welcome to another video. 2024 has been an amazing year in music. It's been a very saturated year in music. And I wanted to share all of my favorite albums with you from this year. As I said during my Spotify Wrapped video, I have listened to about 400 albums for the first time this year, about 150 of which came out this year. And so I have a short list. It is still a pretty long list, but I'm going to go through, first of all, some EPs, then talk about some major releases I liked, and then also get into some highlights of albums that maybe you didn't hear about this year, but you should definitely give them a shout. I will leave timestamps with each of these categories down in the description below, along with a playlist that has my favorite song from each of the projects that I talk about today. So check that out if you are interested in. Anyway, let's just dive right in. Also, quick disclaimer, every album I talk about today, I like at least 70% of it. And I have tallied up in a spreadsheet like a true Virgo would. And these are the albums that have come out. They're not all the albums that have done that. You can check that full list out down in the comments below. I have an album spreadsheet with every album I've ever listened to in full. If there are albums that you want me to react to in the future, check that I haven't already done it, because I have listened to probably 1,500 albums in total, at least, that are recorded down there at this point. So we got a lot going on. First, going into my EPs and short albums, I first wanted to bring your attention to 14 Minutes from Dominic Fike. Absolutely love this project. High Grace made it to my Spotify Wrapped. I think these were mainly outtakes from other things. I don't know if this is new music constructed for this project, but it is really good. If you watch the video, it's just very calming. He's just running. He's just vibing. And the music is really just vibey music. Again, High Grace is definitely my top from there. But overall, I think I had no skips on it at all. Another short project that I had no skips with was L from Dagny. And Dagny is an artist that I feel like has been lost to a lot of pop giants. She, I believe, is from Europe, and her music is definitely just very pop and just very fun. I really liked Backbeat way back when, and this 8-song project is just a really nice check-in on where she's at now. Another pop release is Girly Pop Encore from Chrissy Klepeka. This is a pretty short album, I believe it's like 9 songs. It's just fun. It is a biblification of pop music, and I'm always here for it. Un Mechon de Pelo from Teeny. You might know her better as Violetta from the Disney Channel telenovela Violetta. Absolutely loved that show. Absolutely love this project. There's a lot of different tastes. I think it is really fully an album. There's 10 songs on it, but it is a pretty short album, and I feel like it goes in so many different directions that I felt like it was better to put it here and also just see a taste of where Teeny is going as an artist now. I think it's better placed here than in another category, but if you would prefer it to be in the main album category, it's a great album as well. Then we have FK It from Alameda. Yes, I know how to actually pronounce it, but I don't want YouTube to mess with me. But this is a lovely short project as well. I don't really know if things are marketed as EPs or albums at this point. I don't necessarily check in with each artist's marketing vision for their project. However, I really liked it. I thought it was upbeat in times where it needed to be. I just think it was a fun, interesting project, and try it out. And then last from this category is Die from Twice. Another shorter album, but just a good time all around. Twice doesn't tend to miss when it comes to projects, and I really liked their most recent full-length release. Now we're going to get into major releases, and I'm defining major releases as albums that a lot of people are going to be talking about because they are from household names, and obviously each household differs. I'm sure in many households, Twice, for example, is a household name, or Teeny might be a household name. However, the ones I picked are definitely ones where I've seen most media publications cover it. So I wanted to get on here and tell you how I felt about these major releases, the ones I felt positively about, because I don't want to welcome any more negativity into my life. This list does go chronologically in the order that I listened to them, which is not necessarily the order that they came out, but all came out this year, of course. And we start with Everything I Thought It Was from Justin Timberlake. I actually just saw the world tour recently because I just got a free ticket on the night of. I had 2 hours to prepare, and I got into it, and it was fun. He's very much packing his dancing bag. He brought Timberland back for some vibes. He still has some songs that are a little on the slower side, and this album is very long, but I think there's some vibes in there that I don't feel like getting rid of quite yet. Maybe because it also just came out this year, but it doesn't feel as dated as some of the other production that his first 2 albums, for example, often do. I know people still love Future Sex Love Sounds and Justified. I'm not saying that they are bad projects, but I feel like sometimes I don't necessarily want to listen to the tracks from it necessarily. I feel like I can't listen to them in their original versions as easily without feeling like I'm just being transported back. Everything I thought it was feels more current while also leaning to the stylings that made him a popular household name in the first place. Eternal Sunshine from Ariana Grande. Do I remember that this album came out this year? Not particularly. I have to actually remember it. Is it a decent album? It is pretty decent. I think as far as Ariana Grande albums were going to go, I tend to be net positive on them, except for Positions. I don't really care for Positions all that much at all. But this album was good. Yes, and is the clear highlight. I wish the album was like that. It would be one of my top albums, absolutely, of the year. But I do still like the majority of the songs from it. And I think it shows that she wants to go past where she's been and doesn't want to just regurgitate the same album that you got in the past several years. She's closing that chapter, moving on to a next chapter, and she's also doing very well in Wicked too. Then we have Fireworks and Rollerblades from Benson Boone. I know Benson Boone is newer, and people are probably tired of hearing the song Beautiful Things. I heard it for the first time while listening to this album. I had not heard any song from this project except for, I think, maybe Cry, and it was just a single that came out before the album came out, and then I decided to check out the album because I liked that song. This album was actually very good. I like a lot of his stage presence live. I think there's some solid work from a man. I'm shocked. I didn't think that we'd get a pop boy that I was as interested in. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that there was some maturity in there. He's got range. He does some interesting things. Do I think he compares to a lot of what women in pop are doing? No. But, he's doing his own thing. And I think for men in the music industry, he's trying. Speaking of a man who's trying, next I want to talk about Found Heaven from Conan Gray. I love that he changed up his vibe. I really like those 80s vibes on him. He does really go faithfully in it. And he really leaned into it. And I think after hearing his albums of Kid Crow and Super Ache, I think we needed to shift it up. Before, it just felt like every album was the same album and you could just kind of pick your favorites from each and then move on. I feel like he did an honest attempt to create an era and feel like you were into it. And I fully enjoyed the project and need to listen to it again soon. Next, we have the Tortured Poets Department. Now, I know this is a long album. It is 2 hours in the anthology. And yes, I will include the anthology because the anthology would boost its score up tremendously, in my opinion. Do I think it is Taylor Swift's best work? No. Do I think it's Taylor Swift's worst work? No. It is a good set of songs, and the anthology is definitely a good, more cohesive project in my opinion. This album came out 9 days after my most recent partner and I decided that after me leaving Germany, we would no longer be together. So this album made me go through a lot. I was feeling like a tortured poet when this album came out. And I do feel like now I am on the other side. Would I say the Tortured Poets Department is my album of the year? No. But I don't really know actually what my album of the year is, which is why I've done it in the style of just talking about albums I really like this year, because I don't feel like any album purely defined my year, but it defined that April for sure. It really felt like I was really just deep into the thick of it. I am a Swiftie overall. I'm not going to use it like a derogatory term. I feel like it's weird for us to do that and lump everyone who's a fan of an artist into a box. Yes, there are people who have taken things way too far and are very much needing to get another hobby. That doesn't mean that if you like an artist who you might find uninteresting or pretentious or whatever you have a problem with, it doesn't make you any more interesting. If you hating Taylor Swift is your personality trait, that's a really sucky personality trait, to be honest. Like, let people like things. And I think a more interesting personality trait is not listening to the hype or the rage and just listening to the project and deciding if you actively like it. If you don't, cool, move on. There's plenty of albums to go around. But if you do like it or you like some songs from it, go for it. Make your life better. That's how I feel about it. Guilty as Sin is one of my favorites from that project. There's a lot of good songs, and there's a lot of songs that I don't listen to at all. I would skip the first 3 or 4 songs personally, but that is just how I listen to it. I know everyone listens to that project differently or not at all. Next, we have Radical Optimism with Dua Lipa. I like this project. It's a nice little summer moment. It was a moment. It wasn't an era. I have forgotten that it came out this year. And no, it was not snubbed in any way at any awards. Yes, this album is good, but it is not her strongest project. But I think it's okay for her to just have an album where she just vibes. Next we have Hit Me Hard and Soft from Billie Eilish. Love a WLW record. She crushes it. She and Phineas are making magic happen again. I feel like it's a much more cohesive experience. I don't tend to listen to many of the tracks on their own. However, there's some good standouts on it. I was someone who liked Birds of a Feather as my favorite track the moment I heard it, not just a sleeper hit or have it evolve over time. I really liked it initially, and I think it's a good project. Do I find it as memorable as some other projects this year? Not necessarily, but I guess it's just a swath of it. And I feel like it's Billie Eilish just staying in Billie Eilish's lane and doing really cool things with it, but definitely still staying in Billie Eilish's lane. Then we have Brat, the album that got me a job offer. I did a presentation to get a job, and I have now gotten said job. The presentation is either already up or it will be my next video. And I overall just enjoyed the project. I really have loved the era for it. The music is very good. No complaints there. But it is also the marketing and just the vibes that you can go out and do. Like, I have loved going to Brat nights in public. I've loved wearing lime green. I've loved wearing these little sunglasses that I found on the floor of a water park show. It's been absolutely a moment this year. I love a Brat summer. I love a Brat autumn. And I really have loved that this album has sparked a cultural conversation. You then have Dopamine from Normani. I feel like this is a chill record. Is it the motivation record that I would have preferred? No. But there's still some good solid songwriting here. She has leaned into an R&B direction. I hope this doesn't pigeonhole her. And I also hope that this is not the only Normani album we get in a while. I know that it really just fell off the face of the earth pretty soon afterwards. But I hope in the future we'll get some Normani live performances, some more music videos, some more. Because I feel like we got there and we were so happy that it arrived, and then I've heard crickets since. But I think it is a good record, and I think it's definitely been slept on this year. And if you missed it among all the albums that were coming out in the spring and the summer this year, now's your chance to go back. I feel like it would have a lot of winter appeal also, so I think now's the perfect time. Next, Megan Thee Stallion released both her self-titled third album, and then she also released Megan Act 2, which I don't know if that's just considered her fourth studio album or just a deluxe of Megan Act 1, but I enjoyed it. I think she has a lot of little hits in there, and I think it's just been its own little moment. I feel like Megan Thee Stallion has very much stayed in her lane. She's had some cool features this year, but she has just been vibing, and I think she is able to just vibe, and she's always so entertaining. So I love seeing her on my screen. I love hearing her in my headphones. I just love experiencing Megan Thee Stallion's life, because Megan Thee Stallion just gives me life. Then we have Short and Sweet from Sabrina Carpenter. I definitely think this is an album that's based more on having really strong singles. I have a lot of singles that I really like from this project, and I don't know which one is actually even going to make the playlist yet, but we'll find out. You'll find out soon enough. But I think this was her year to come out with an album that has singles that just crush it, and has songs that fully crush it, and to have a tour that crushes it. So good for her. Then we have The Great Impersonator from Halsey. This album is a very big emotional ride that is not for the faint of heart, in my personal opinion. I reacted to it and I enjoyed it. There's a lot of songs that I find really great from this project. And I think if people actually listen and read the lyrics and Google what Halsey dealt with in the past 2 years, or just literally just understand what she's saying in her lyrics, because it doesn't require deep literary analysis, often surface level stuff to understand that she was going through a lot. So before you critique something, listen to it. I heard too many people not understand Halsey's condition or not understand what Halsey has gone through and just were sexist or took some prejudgments based on what they perceived of Halsey in the past. And I think a lot of people that are defending her also should listen to the project and also just think on it, because I feel like a lot of people who haven't been enjoying Halsey, I feel like haven't understood that Halsey does something different every time. If you just don't like her voice, or you just don't like confessional songwriters, or you don't like some pop and rock mixed in, that's fine. But I think try it every once in a while. I don't know. I'm the type of person who, if I didn't like a food 5 or so years ago, I might try it again to see if my tastes have changed. Maybe that's just me. I always like to, give another chance if I don't feel like the first chance was squandered horribly. We then have Access All Areas from Flo. I don't know if Flo is considered a household name, but they should be, because this was an amazing debut R&B project. I really liked it. Ugh. Honestly, it was really great. I was blown away because I don't always go for an R&B project. In recent times, I really have liked SOS. I have liked Dopamine, but Access All Areas, I was like, whoa, hold on, I need to listen to this more, and I need to really get into what everyone else was hearing, because I didn't necessarily have too many expectations. I had heard some of the singles leading up to the project, but I didn't realize the album was just going to be that good. And maybe it just had hit the right day, but I need to just have it hit more days. We then have GNX from Kendrick Lamar. I feel like Kendrick Lamar was riding the high after his beef with Drake this summer. Not Like Us isn't even on this project. He just created this project, and I don't know the lore of why this project was created, but I feel like he's coming in here with a mission, and it feels like a stronger mission than even Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers was. Yeah, no, I really like this project. I think there was some really interesting choices in there. And is it an album I return to often? No, it's also hasn't been out that long. But I can see people really liking it. And I personally liked it, even though I don't tend to listen to a lot of male rap music. And finally, from the major names, we have Rosé from Blackpink with Rosie, her debut. I love Apata, and some of the singer-songwriter stuff has been really good. I'm really impressed. I didn't know that she was going to be such a singer-songwriter vibe, especially after Apata. And Yes and are two of the biggest red herrings in terms of what an artist era is going to be. I would have loved a Yes and full era from Ariana, and I would have loved an Apata full album from Rosé, but they're both great albums still in their own right, and I am excited to continue listening to it into the new year. Hi, so when I recorded this, Lana hadn't come out yet, but it's definitely getting added to the list. Really have been loving it so far. Highlights include so far the Interlude as well as BMF. But yeah, really loving everything that SZA puts out. Better late than never. Really appreciate her sharing this with us in 2024. And yeah, I can definitely see myself playing this in 2025. Finally going to get into some highlights. So this is going to be my largest category, and this is also, like with the major releases, is going to go in the order that I originally heard it. And so we're going to start with Orchideas from Kali Uchis. I absolutely found this project gorgeous. She has the stellar singing voice. I think this was my first Kali Uchis project in full, and I've started going into her back catalog and listening to more because it's so good. I feel like I've been sleeping on her, and I think this project, it came out like the first week of January, and it was just stellar. Honestly, no notes. We then have Girl With No Face from Ali X. I heard the lead single, Black Eye, and I was immediately hooked. I got to see her in concert last month, and she did wonderful. She had Violet Chachki open. It was great. She produced this album. This is not just her vision in terms of lyrics or even some sonic choices or melodies. She produced this project, and it sounds great. It sounds straight out of like some alternative 80s, and it sounds good. She does so much in it. It's so much fun. Try it. I highly recommend this project. We then have Fine Host Stay from Flo Milli. If we want to talk about female rap, I love Flo Milli, and I just love the vibe that she brings. I love that all of these covers are really just giving some Y2K loveliness. And I just love her flow style. I love her speaking voice. I love her rapping voice. I just really find her super talented. She did perform at my college, and I think she's the same age as me, if not younger. So like, go off, queen. You got this. We then have 3 from Fortet. This is a great album for painting, in my personal opinion. I feel like it is just a nice, calm, artsy mood. Maybe listen to it while it's raining outside. I just really enjoy it. We then have I'm Doing It Again, Baby from Girl in Red. I feel like Girl in Red had something to say here with this project, and I have not a single skip from this project. I feel like it's leaps and bounds ahead of her debut, and I am excited to see where she goes next. Let's see what happens when she does it again, baby. 12 Notes from Alec Benjamin. I saw him perform this album live in concert. This was a great project. It was just some good stellar music from our resident storyteller in the pop landscape, especially the male field. And I feel like he's a bit goofy, but he definitely has his emotional heart into his music, and I think it really shows. I feel like there was a lot of cool choices that he made with this project. There was a lot of things that were really relatable and modern, but there were some things that were a little more classical as well. I think it was just a good, well-rounded project. It's also not that long, so check it out if you get the chance. We then have Empathogen. If you are on an anti-Nepo baby quest, and I understand that that could be valid, don't make Willow your target, because Willow, I love her artistry, and I love that she's evolved so much. I loved her work into pop punk and even some rock edges with some of her previous releases, but Empathogen was so interesting. Big Feelings, for example, has so many different, like, I want to say it's chromatic. There feels like there's so many different colors in my head. I feel like there might be some key changes within a lot of the things. There's a lot of runs. There's a lot going on in this album, and it feels jazzy, it feels classical, it feels alternative, it feels pop, it feels like everything. And I love an album that makes me go everywhere, and I feel like she really went there. If you have not seen her Tiny Desk performance during this era, please check it out. It was wonderful and made me really want to revisit the project even more than I already did. We then have Hot City from Bonnie McKee, following in the Taylor Swift and JoJo footsteps of re-recording your past music that had a label disagreement or something or other. JoJo and Taylor Swift obviously both recorded their masters. JoJo did it first, but Taylor Swift did it more famously. And Hot City from Bonnie McKee is a shelved studio album from Bonnie McKee that was supposed to come out like 10 years ago. Singles from it were released. American Girl was on my Just Dance game, and somehow it just didn't happen. It didn't pan out. There was a label disagreement or something like that, and it was never released. Now with the advent of social media, people are able to request things, and people are willing to give. So Bonnie McKee went into the studio, re-recorded all the songs from it, and brought it out. It feels like a hot girl summer. It feels like something that works with Brat, or with Chappell Roan, or with Sabrina Carpenter. It feels like it is in conversation with all of these. You know, songs from it came out before this year, like a decade before this year, and most of the public had not heard, were still written back in that time, but are still relevant and interesting and exciting to listen to today. So it just shows how sometimes music comes out at the right time. I feel like if you like music where you don't have to think too hard, you're just like, oh, I'm just that girl, I'm just having a good time, I want to vibe, this is the album for you, check it out. Then we have Heatwave from Bronze Avery. If you want your hot queer boy summer, this is the album for you. I guess, honestly, if you're feeling more masculine in the day, listen to Heatwave. And then if you're feeling far more feminine, listen to Hot City. There you go. Then we have Vertigo from Griff. I love that she's been getting a lot of mainstream attention through some of her appearances at the Eras Tour. She is super talented. I have always loved her song Head on Fire. I'm glad this full-length project has come out because it was good in some of its singles and some of its EPs, but as a full-length project, it's gorgeous. And it's one of the albums I'm trying to get a CD for to put in my car. It just feels good. It feels right when I listen to it, and I want more of it. We then have Smile from Porter Robinson. This is fun. Oh, I listened to it, and I really could not stop smiling. I feel like when he said in his opening song, I'm Taylor Swift. Yeah, it's some good music. It's, you know, dealing with mental health stuff, but it's doing it in, I don't know, is that pop rock a bit? It's electronic and definitely in the Porter Robinson wheelhouse, but it also feels a little throwback-ish, and I just really liked it. It was just a good vibe that I didn't expect to fully really enjoy, but I did. Next we have Sugar Water from Maud Latour. I hope I get to meet her someday. I love when she likes my comments. I love when she responds to my messages on her story. She is wonderful. She is right around my age. She's a queer woman, just making really great pop music. I'm so glad to live in the world where her first studio album is out. She's banger after banger. Multiple of those songs ended up on my Wrapped this year. And I really like that, although several songs of hers are about love, I feel like there is an overall message of this album that doesn't have to do with other people. It has to do about growing up and finding joy in your life after loss. And a lot of really important themes that I feel like someone coming of age should have to grapple with and handle and learn and grow from. And I feel like she did an incredible job making that come to life in the music, and it makes me want to listen to it every time. We have Forever from Charlie Bliss. I came across this group because one of their songs was used when we were warming up for a dance class, and it was so good. I really loved the lead singer's voice. And I'm so glad that they have finally come back with an album. I think it's their first album in 5 years, maybe 7. I don't know. It's been a hot minute since they made music, but this album is really good. I didn't have that many skips at all, front to back. Just a good time. Quantum Baby from Tinashe, now that I think about it, probably should have been in the taste because it's only 8 songs, but it is part of this bigger trilogy of albums that she is making. And I'm glad that she got her hit with Nasty. I'm glad that I'm still hearing No Broke Boys on the radio. I love that Tinashe is having some more eyes on her. And if you want to be the next set of eyes on her, please do so, because her music has been making waves for a while. I really liked her 333 project in particular. And I hope that she continues to have more attention on her. I'm so thankful that Charlie XCX collaborated with her on B2B, the remix. And I hope that we see her rise very soon. Then I have Imaginal Disc from Magdalena Bay. I don't have much to say except for that they're pop geniuses. They just make really interesting music, and I feel like they blew out Mercurial World, their previous project. I feel like that album was interesting, but Imaginal Disc is not only interesting, but exciting to be a part of. I feel like Mercurial World, you're like, oh yeah, I see that you've made some really creative choices. Imaginal Disc, I also want to dance to it. So I feel like we have moved into more accessible, but still extremely articulate and unique pop. Kehlani dropped multiple albums this year. My favorite of the two is While We Wait 2. While We Wait was basically an EP in my head. I think it was only like 7 songs or something like that. And it came out, I think, 2018, 2019 when I was in college, my first year. And I really liked it. And I'm so glad we got a sequel to it because the music from this just hits. It just flows like honey. I'm so glad Kehlani's getting more attention this year as well. And I would love to see more. I would love to see her on tour. I'm sure she probably already has done her tour stops. But if she wants to do more, I'll be there for it. And I want to give a quick shout out to Gap Year from Lila. I don't actually know how to pronounce her name, but she, I believe, is like 18 or 19. She is so young, but so talented. And just get more ears on this project, please. She did a lot of cool stuff on this project. And I feel like it's easier for you to just listen to the project than to listen to me talk about it. And we have Requiem from Keshi. I discovered one of Keshi's songs randomly, and then I liked it, and then I listened to the whole album, and it was just a good vibe. I felt like just a good vibe. It was like a nighttime cuddle of like a vibe. Yeah, I just fully enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't have any words except for I think I have a soft spot for it. We then have A Year in Glassland from Chaz Cardigan. Damn, heartbreak hurt him. Who hurt you, boy? Anyway, if you are dealing with heartbreak and you need a unique voice to talk about it, or just a different perspective from someone you haven't seen with millions and millions of listeners, please check it out because this album is very good. It has a lot of different sounds on it, and I think that's also makes it really exciting to listen to. Then have What's Wrong with New York from The Dare. If you like the song Guess from Charlie XCX, The Dare produced that. Listen to his whole album. It's some interesting stuff. There are some unique sentences constructed on that project that probably have never been uttered and probably will not be uttered after. Yeah, I like this project. I think it's dance. I think it's fun. I think it is Brat. So if you like Brat, listen to that. We have Mountain Music from Nina Nesbitt. I originally was introduced to Nina as a woman that Ed Sheeran was associated with. And I had listened to The Sun Will Come Up, The Seasons Will Change. It had not necessarily impressed me too much. This album gives me so much existentialism. There's so many songs on it that are extremely relatable, or certain lyrics that are hitting me real hard. And I think she does it very well. I think the album is very cohesive. It reminded me so much of my friend that I sent him the album and he put the majority of the tracks onto his main playlist. So it's a good project. It's just a good acoustic-led project. And probably one of my favorite acoustic-led projects of the year, because I don't think most of them I listened to this year are acoustic at all. Then we have I Am Rachel Platten. I just wanted to bring attention to this, that Rachel Platten, the fight song girl, she made another album, and it was good. Just check it out if you're interested. Then have Bird's Eye by, I believe her name is Raven Lene. I really like this album. I feel like there's some R&B vibes. I feel like it's another album that kind of defies a standard genre classification, and I find it really just interesting. I particularly like Love Me Not. I prefer the version that came out later that includes Rex Orange County on it, and I've just really enjoyed her. I listened to her other album, whose name is escaping me, but I listened to that album for the first time this year as well, and I am just glad that I now know of her, and I want to continue getting to know her through future music releases, as well as just listening to the music I've already heard more. Then we have Everybody Needs a Hero from Orla Garland. I had heard like a song or two from her before, and I just thought she was like, oh, a little indie pop girl. This album is also very genre bending. You can probably see by this point that there is a trend that I like albums that don't feel like they are just one thing the whole time. I like songs and albums that evolve over time and become something completely different by the end. I added multiple of these songs to my playlist, and then when listening to this playlist back, I realized that all these songs sounded completely different. And in many ways probably don't belong on the same album, but they do when she's put it together. It just makes sense. And so, check it out. We have From Zero from Linkin Park, who has a new vocalist. They have a new sound. It feels like they're starting over from scratch, hence From Zero. And I think if you are a fan of the era, but you like some of the newer trends that are happening in pop rock and pop punk, I think this could be your avenue to check it out further. Then finally, this album became known to me after Spotify Wrapped came out this year, because someone had said that, based on what I had posted, that I would be really interested in this artist, and that is Sophie Cates with her album Supernova. And gosh, they were absolutely right. Thank you, Kira, for telling me that this album would be something I really like. I really do like it, and I hope to see it in next year's Wrapped. There's just a lot of pop, but interesting. It just is fully like, a little synthetic with the dance, but not every song is dancey. Some of it's more acoustic. It changes genres, and I think if you need to change the genre to make the song fit what your message is and what you're trying to say in this particular part of the album, I think artists that feel free to do that are artists whose ethoses I'm more interested in and resonate more with. That I have probably talked so long about all these albums. I believe I've talked about almost 50 albums, and I know that's a lot. So I hope breaking it up helped you think about albums you've heard, albums you might like to hear. And yeah, I think this year has been great with music, and I think a year where so many artists have decided, I'm just dropping an album. Okay. I think it means that we're going to have lists that are long too, because we have a lot of music that we consumed. Some of it we've only half digested, and I hope to digest more of it into the new year. I don't know if this pace is going to let up. I hope soon it will let up so that I can actually digest what I've experienced and listen to some projects multiple times and more. But this year has definitely been a year of exploration for me, a year of trying new artists, trying new sounds, listening to a lot of albums I'd missed previously, and listening to a bunch of albums that came out all at the same time. If you want me to pick an actual favorite number one, my album of the year, I can't do that yet because the SOS Deluxe has not fully come out yet, but I'm sure that will be something that carries on into Wrapped next year. a lot of these projects are just very deserving, but I feel like no album has had a full chokehold on me this year. I feel like Brat was an album that defined my year, but I'm not sure if it's necessarily the favorite release that I've experienced this year. I think based on my rap that like a lot of my music that I listened to this year was not defined by any particular album. I feel like it was defined by me always choosing the next adventure, which was the next country to visit when I was in Germany, the next album to listen to while I'm on the commute to that trip, or just the next thing in life, which I'm so happy to know that I will be actually fully employed next month. So all good stuff from the past, all good stuff moving forward, and we have so much music to soundtrack my life along the way. If you like this video, please like it, comment down below, which I'm going to do next on my channel. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not already and you'd like to be, and thanks for watching. This is TurtleStormer. Catch you later.